Hi guys. Okay, so we're going to get started with our study guide in a median. Remember, it has to start at a vertice or the side and go to the opposite side, hitting at that side's midpoint and making these two pieces congruent to each other. The altitude also has to start at a vertice and it goes to the opposite side in a straight line and forms a 90-degree angle. Perpendicular bisector, that's the only one that doesn't need to start at a vertice. It can, but it doesn't need to. It's
Emily
perpendicular.
Sanchez, please come to the attendance office. Emily Sanchez to the attendance office.
And it bisects, so it creates two congruent sides. Angle bisector, start at that vertice and go to the opposite side, cutting these two angles in half.
On campus with Jose Gutierrez, please go to room P32.
The only one.
Jose Gutierrez, please go to room P32. Thank you.
The only one that does not contain the vertex of a triangle is the perpendicular bisector. All right. Every triangle has three medians. This is true. All right. It has three angles, so therefore it can have three medians. This is false. Just because it's an altitude doesn't mean it's a median. Each leg of a right triangle, you guys remember the legs make up the right angle, is an altitude, and that is true also. The three angle bisectors of a triangle intersect at a point outside the triangle. No, the three angle bisectors form the incenter, which is always inside the triangle, so this is false. Because it is always inside. Okay, so let's look down here. And what it tells us first is that angle ABC, this entire angle here, is 76 degrees. Measure of angle C is 40, and that's written here. And BP, this side right here, it bisects these angles here. So it also tells us that BQ is the altitude. Okay, so the first thing it asks us to find is PBC, angle PBC, which is right here. And remember, the whole angle is 76, but it's bisected. PBC is bisected, or the whole angle is bisected, which is 76. So we're going to divide that by 2, 76 divided by 2, and we're going to get 38 degrees. So the measure of angle PBC would be 38 degrees because it's bisected. 76 is cut in half. Then it asks us to find this angle right here, CAB. All right, and if we notice CAB is part of a triangle, I know one of the angles is equal to 240 degrees. The other angle is equal to 76. We're trying to find this angle right here, and it equals 180. I would add these two together, and I would get 116 plus x equals 180. I would subtract 116, and I would get x equals 64, or the measure of angle CAB equals 64 degrees. Lastly, QBA. Oops, let's see, we're kind of running out of room here. QBA is this teeny little angle down here, which creates a triangle. So now for angle QBA, if I know that that's 90 degrees, this angle right here, and I now know that this angle is 64, I'm going to do 180 equals 64 plus 90 plus x, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get 180 equals 154 plus x, subtract 154, subtract 154, and x equals 26. So 26 degrees, looking at that small little triangle down there. All right, let's flip to the next page. What it tells us is that EG is the median. All right, EG is the median, which means this segment and this segment are congruent to each other. I would set them equal. 8x minus 17 equals 3x plus 3. I want to get my x's alone first, so I'm going to subtract 3x, subtract 3x. And I'm going to have 5x minus 17 equals 3. I'll add 17 to get 5x alone, and I'll end up with 5x equals 20. I'll divide by 5, x equals 4. Okay, and then it also tells us that EG is the altitude, which means that angle right there equals 90 degrees. So, I'm going to do 15y minus 30 equals 90. I'm going to add 30 to both sides and get 15y equals 120. I'll divide by 15, divide by 15, and y equals 8. All right, next up, WY is an angle bisector, which means these two angles are congruent. So, B would be the only choice. Angle XYW is congruent to angle ZYW. And if YW is the altitude, which is the following is true, it's the altitude, that means A is a right angle. And moving along to number 13, if YW is the median, then what is true? Well, what's true, because it's the median, is that XW and ZW are congruent. And for number 14, if YW is the perpendicular bisector, which of the following are true? Both A and B. This angle right here, YWZ, is 90 degrees, so it's a right angle, and these two pieces would be congruent because it bisects them. So A and B, but your answer would technically be C, both A and B. All right, using the diagram, name the segment that represents the shortest distance from B to AC. Well, that would be BE, because the shortest distance is a straight line. And BE is called the altitude. And if F is the midpoint, different question now, BF, if F is the midpoint, BF would be the median of the triangle, coming from a vertice to the midpoint of the opposite side. BF would be the median, which is kind of hard to read, but that says median. All right, and then the last question, these are all mid-segments. Okay, so we're going to start by filling it in, and it tells us that this first one is 22, which means way over here where AO is, this whole thing would be 44, and these two pieces would be congruent to each other, right? Because right here where R, N, and E hit, those are all midpoints. So this becomes 22, and this becomes 22. Then we look over here at OG, and it says that OG is 43. So this whole thing is 43, and that means that RN is 21.5, along with EO and EG. And then lastly, our last one, RE, which is right here, is 18, which means this entire segment would be 36, and each of these would be 18. So let's go ahead and fill those out. RA, well, we already know it's 22. GA, if we look over here, oh, we saw that that was 36. RN, oh, it's half, so 21.5. And the measure of angle G, well, we know that these two angles are congruent because these lines are parallel, making these two angles corresponding. So this would be 39 degrees because they're corresponding angles. All right, and ERN, angle ERN would be 39 degrees because this angle and this angle are alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. This angle here and that angle there. Okay, so let's look at this one. I want to see if my dot cam will let me zoom yet. Nope, still no. Okay, so we know that this is an angle bisector, which means to solve for x, we're going to set them equal because an angle bisector bisects, cuts in half two angles and makes them congruent. So I'm going to do 7x minus 8 equals 6x plus 9. I'm going to subtract 6x and subtract 6x, end up with x minus 8 equals 9. I'm going to add 8 and get x equals 17. So x equals 17. Then I need to try and find angle ABC. I'm going to take that 17 and I'm going to plug it in. Either of these works fine. I'm going to just plug it into 7x minus 8. So I'm going to do 7 times 17 minus 8, and I will get 111 for this angle right here. Well, don't forget I need ABC, the whole angle, so I need to double it. And I'll end up with 222, which isn't correct because a triangle only has 180 degrees. But that's okay. We can just say for now, it's not drawn to scale, this is our angle measure. And then let's move over here because this was definitely a hard one. So the first thing you want to know is that these sides of the triangle, AC and AB, are congruent to each other. Next thing you want to know is that DF is an altitude, DE is an altitude, and that AD is an altitude. So we have a few 90-degree angles. All right, moving along, I'm just going to fill in the information I know because of that. I now know that angle 4 and angle 6 are 90 degrees. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to look at this triangle right here.
Girls Soccer, if you send in your ID card, please come pick it up at the attendance office. Girls Soccer, please come pick up your ID card at the attendance office. Thank you. So
many interruptions today. All right, so if angle 4 is 90, then this angle is 92, which means I need to take 180, this whole triangle I highlighted, and I'm going to subtract 90, and I'm going to subtract 38. And I'm going to end up with 52. I now know that this little angle right here is 52 degrees. Well, that's great, because I need to find angle 1 and angle 2, right? And I know that angle 1 and angle 2, they're both part of a 90-degree angle. So in order to find angle 1, I'm going to take 90 and subtract 52, and I'm going to end up with 38. So I now know that angle 1 is 38 degrees and angle 2 is 38 degrees. So I'll fill those in. Okay, next thing, I can figure out what this angle is. AB, wait, where did it go? Oh, I thought I needed, oh, angle B, there it is. They just call it angle B. I also now know that that's 38 degrees, but because these two angles, these two lines are congruent, that means it's an isosceles triangle, and these two angles are congruent. So that's 38 degrees. Okay, and then angle ADB all right here. Well, remember that's the altitude, so that would be 90 degrees. And now I need to find EDF. Well, I kind of already found that, right? Angle EDF, because I know this is 38 and this is 38, so I need to add 38 or multiply it by 2, add 38 and 38 or multiply it by 2 and get 76 degrees. Next would be EAF. So again, I know this is 90 and I know this is 38. This right here is another triangle if you can see it. So I would do 180 minus 90, which would give me 90, and then I would subtract 38 and I would get that wonderful 52 number. So EAF is 52. I know this is 52. I know this is 52. So angle 5 is also 52, right? Because that's 90, that's 38, then that must be 52. And then the last one, oh, EAF, sorry. I don't know why I wrote EAF is 52. EAF, the whole thing, you need to do 52 times 2, and you would get 104. And that would be this angle, the combination of angle 3 and 5. And lastly, angle 3 would be 52. Okay, it's a very jump around kind of problem. And then the last one, a median starts at a vertex and goes to the midpoint of the opposite side. The altitude also starts at a vertex and is perpendicular to the opposite side. Perpendicular bisector is a line that is perpendicular to a side and also bisects the side. An angle bisector starts at a vertice or a vertex and bisects the angle. All right, that's it for your video. Thanks, guys.